Hi, ladies. Today is April 27th, and we are working on page 45 in your packet. So week 4, day 1, page 45. All right, so for our question today, we're going to be working on those measurement questions again. So you'll see in front of you that you have a conversion chart that is going to be useful for solving this problem. So it says, Mrs. Babs noticed 2 rides were 32 feet apart. How many yards is that? So we have 2 rides that are 32 feet apart. And the part that's kind of not super important at this point is going to be the 2 rides, because basically it's saying there's a ride over here and there's a ride over here, and they're 32 feet apart. So those that 2 isn't necessarily important. And we want to know how many yards it is. So we're trying to figure out how many yards we can make out of 32 feet. All right, so down below is your conversion chart, and this is going to be a super important chart for you today. So remember, we've used this kind of in the past. You start with feet, so think about this portion right here saying 32, and then you want to make sure you're following the arrow depending on which way you're going. So feet to inches would be this bottom portion. Feet to yards is going to be this top portion. So you want to make sure you're using the correct arrows and following the correct arrows to the measurement that you are focusing on. So at this point, I would recommend pausing the video on this page so that you can see this conversion chart still, because again, it's going to be extremely important for you to use this. And then when you're finished and you've gone through the entire process of CGI, go ahead and unpause and we will check our work together. All right, so on this problem, you'll notice I have 32 feet, which is going, or 32, which is going to represent the total feet. And then I also have 3 total feet in 1 yard. So I got this from this diagram right here that tells me that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So if I take my yards and my feet and I divide by 3, it's going to give me my 1 yard. So, let's take a look at this problem. We want to start with our feet, which is 32. And then we're going to divide that by 3 because our chart tells us to divide this by 3. So 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. We subtract, bring down our 2. 3 cannot go into 2. Remember, we don't just leave this blank. We don't just not put anything here. We have to say that 3 goes into 2 0 times. 3 times 0 is going to be 0. We subtract and we either get a remainder of 2 or we want to make sure we're talking about this maybe in using up the entire amount of space. So this would be a great opportunity to turn this into a mixed number where my 2 becomes my numerator and my 3 is my denominator. So taking a look at this, we want to make sure we check our work. So we're going to take our 10 2/3 and we're going to multiply that by 3 to hopefully get 32. But make sure that when we're multiplying a mixed number, that this becomes an improper fraction. So we want to take 3 times 10, which is 30, plus 2, which is 32. And then we're going to put that over our denominator of 3. Then we're going to multiply that by 3 over 1. And remember, this is not a division problem. We're starting with multiplication, so we do not do any keep change flip. We just multiply straight across. So I want to start with my 32 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. And remember, this is a simple stackable multiplication problem, so you don't necessarily need to use lattice because it's a one-digit factor on the bottom. So we've got 96, and then 3 times 1, which is 3. Now we want to take 96 and divide it by 3. If we look at this problem, we have 96 divided by 3 basically right in front of us because this problem is turned around. So 3 goes into 6 2 times, 3 goes into 9 3 times, which gives us 32, which would give us the correct answer here. So there are 10 2/3 yards when we converted from feet to yards. There are 32 total feet, and that is equal to 10 2/3 yards. And how we solved that is we took 32 and we divided by 3 and got 10 2/3.